Now, to move into the conversation, we have Dr. Richard Conte, a member of the All People's Congress, and Samuel Ansumana, the Director of Communications for Statistics, Sierra Leone. Good morning to you both.
Good morning.
Thank you very much. Good morning.
Right, I am going to start with Samuel. These are provisional results, and we've seen, you know, certain changes in the numbers. As you heard from our reporter there's a surprise there when it comes to the population of the western area, both urban and rural, and the population of the eastern region. So, first off, what is Statistics SL saying with regards announcing these as provisional results? Okay,
so provisional results, yes, they are, and we would have to do a post-enumeration survey, and after which we would consider this as final results, all right? Because the post-enumeration survey goes back to verify what you have done. Mm-hmm. However, just picking up from where you started, you know, when you said you were now seeing a situation where the eastern region is more populated than the western area. Mm-hmm. You know, a lot of people do not know this. This has been the case since 2004. And I'll give you the figures, all right? I'll give you the figures. In the 2004 census, all right, Kailan had 358,190, Kenema had 497,948, and Kono had 335,401. The total population for the eastern region in the 2004 census was 1,191,539. Western area urban in 2004 was 772,873. Western area rural in 2004 was 174,249. Total for western area was 947,122. This was 2004. Western region, Eastern region was higher than Western region. 2015, let me just move forward quickly. 2015, we had a situation where Kenema had 609,891, Kono had 506,100, Kailan had 526,379. Total for the Eastern region in the 2015 census was 1,642,370. 2015 Western area urban 1,055,964. Western area rural 444,272. Total Western area urban and rural was 1,500,000, whilst Eastern region at 1,642,370. That has been the trend. It has been the trend. So when you're saying we see Eastern region more populated than the Western area, it has been like that. It has been like that. So for us, it's not a surprise because that is how it has been. All right? The Eastern region, you know, Kenema, Kono, and Kailan have always been the most populous. All right? Or the most populated. They've always been that. It has always been like that. So even other media houses were saying the same thing. You know, I've heard it from several media houses where the Western region is Eastern region is more populated than the entire Western region. But it has been like that. People maybe don't check the figures. It has been like that. And this is figure. I was not there in 2004. I was not even there in 2015. But these are the figures that came out.
So when you look at the data, the percentage increase. Can you give us that as well? How much of an increase we've seen in the western area as compared to the eastern region as well?
Okay, all right, okay. So we have not actually done this analysis as an institution, but I'll give you this analysis. We had a 26.65% increase in Kenema, a 22.64% increase in Kono. We had a 3.71% increase in Kailan. We had a 31.53% increase in Bo. we had a 48.20% increase in Bond. We had 8.80% increase in Moyamba. We had a 23.98% increase in Pujong. We had a decrease in Bombali by 36.15. We had a decrease in Koinadugu by 49.64. We had an increase in Tonkolili by 25,000, by 4.8 rather. We had an increase in, well, Falaba actually was not an increase because Falaba is just a new district, so we couldn't compare it to 2015. Cambia, we had an increase of 6.43. Port Loko, we had a decrease of minus 1.14. Karine, we had, well, it's also new, so it's
no data to compare.
Yes, and Western area urban, we had a decrease of 42.54, and Western area rural, we had an increase of 49.02 in Western area rural. So those are the.
Let me quickly come in. For example, what Antonia just talked about the figures. Now, Kenema is the highest district, the highest populated district today based on the figures that came out. So, I mean, the statistic is saying we have, I think, about 27% increase in Kenya. And so, for many who are looking at how migration is happening in the country, do not proven by data, but they will tell you the rush has always been to the urban settings. Freetown,
which had a 42% decrease.
Exactly. So, I mean, did you get indicators as to why that's change in?
Okay, thank you very much. In a census, what you do to determine the figures is to count. No two ways about it. It's to count. So what we are giving you is the population of what we counted.
Right.
All right? Now, we don't want to start comparing Kenema to Freetown, all right, or Western area urban, okay, as the case is. But what it basically means is that more people got counted in Kenema than in Freetown. And there is a reason for that, okay? We don't have to shy away from the fact that we had less cooperation in Freetown for people to be counted than in Kenema, all right, as opposed to Kenema. We had less cooperation in Freetown as compared to Kenema, okay? Now, for the very first time in Sierra Leone, we had a situation where there was a clarion call by political parties, other individuals, not to be counted. And that showed its ugly head in the results, all right? It showed its ugly head during the counting process, all right? Where we had a situation where we had like a barrage of rejections, all right? We had situations where we had to engage paramount chiefs to intervene just to talk to the people. Our people were driven, they were beaten, they were locked up, you know, they didn't have access to some places and stuff like that. So all of those issues, all right, are what is now reflective in the census.
So isn't Statistics SL shooting itself in the leg by admitting that the data you have put forward has flaws, such as recording a 42% decrease in the urban area, Freetown, and this census data is meant to be used to for development plans, to implement development plans?
Okay, so I don't understand what you mean by shooting ourselves in the leg by.
Let me rephrase.
No, I'm coming. I understand.
If you have accepted
I am just saying, don't let her clear.
If you have accepted that people did not cooperate, and that has reflected in the data, meaning the data is flawed because people did not cooperate.
Okay.
How are you going to use this data to implement development plans or to even come up with development plans if they are not if the data is not reflective of the reality?
Okay, so people not being counted does not in any way mean the data is flawed. It does not. It does not in any way flaw the data. It does not. Now, look at the percentage of people that we are counted as opposed to the percentage of people that we are not counted. All right? Look at the percentage of people that we are counted as opposed to those that we are not counted. Then you can tell, all right, that there is a huge variance in favor of people that were counted. Okay,
Yes,
so I'm coming.
If we're
I'm
looking
coming.
at minus 42%,
I'm coming.
It
So
already tells you.
it tells
that
you
it's
that
almost half.
So what basically
just 8% to make it
in a
half of the
census,
population that were not
Antonia,
counted.
in a census, you don't assume figures. All right, what you meet is what you count. What we met, the people that cooperated, we started the census on the 10th of December. We extended the enumeration period, all right, even after December. We had a mopping up. We had a winding down. We opened up toll-free line. We told people to call to be counted. Now, people not being counted, or 100, 200,000 people, I'm just giving figures. It doesn't mean that's the situation, all right? Or 5 people not being counted does not in any way make the census less valid. No, it does not in any way means the census is not credible. Okay, it does not mean, because a lot more people got counted than those people that were counted. All right, we had a situation where we have 7,541,641 people that were counted. All right, that we produced. Okay. You certainly cannot tell me you had 1 million people in Sierra Leone that were not counted. It's not possible.
But in Sierra Leone?
Yeah, you can. Entire Sierra Leone. You cannot tell me.
So if we're looking at the reduction in data, minus 219,000 in Bombali, minus 203,000 plus in Koinadugu, minus 87,000 in Port Loko, minus 449,000 plus in Western area urban.
Okay, so let me also tell you this. A lot of people are not saying this. All right. So let me tell you this. Bombali, all right, and Port Loko. Okay. Do we know? Do we guys remember how Falaba and Kaine were formed? Do you guys remember? Okay. So let me take you back. Okay. When we had the 2015 census, after we had that census, all right, Kaine was formed. Kaine was part of Port Loko and Bombali. Okay? So a huge population from that was removed and sent into Kaine. Falaba, Bombali, and Koinadugu. A huge part of that was removed and sent into Falaba. So do you expect the population of those places to be the same?
So let's talk about the regions.
Do you expect it to be the same?
Let's talk about the regions.
So we also have to think out of the box, all right? We have to think out of the box and understand these issues. You would not understand if I don't say it, okay? So a lot of people have made those arguments. I've had these arguments, all right? Now, in addition to that, you just mentioned the districts. Let's get to the regions. I mean, we understand better because of the migration from Port Loko to Kaine of people. No, that is just one. That is just one aspect.
Just so you know that we are also coming from an informed, point. Okay. So take, for example, the northwest, northeast in the western regions have altogether dropped, by the figures you put together, by 236,799. Whereas, for example, the south and the eastern regions have been credited with an additional 685,214 people. So we're talking about regions, not now the districts. So which clearly means there is also a reduction in the regions in the north.
Okay.
So it's not about the districts.
So let me tell you this.
Go ahead.
I said this earlier, Samuel, and I would say it again.
Go ahead.
All right? When we count, when we do a census, basically what we do is to count.
Agreed.
All right? Now, when we had this situation where people were saying people should not be counted, where was it prevalent? It was prevalent in the western area and in the northern parts of the country. We went, for example, to Sela Limba, all right? Our people were not allowed at all.
Agreed.
You had district council chairmen. You had people mounting Laudela vehicles, moving around the town, telling the people, moving around district, telling their people not to be counted. It came to a point people refused to be, they felt like if I bring myself up to be counted, I risk the hike of, our leaders or our leadership that is here and stuff like that. And you cannot force people to be counted.
To be counted, agreed.
You cannot go into somebody's compound and force the person, I want you to be counted. All right? So the bottom line is those people, those figures we reported are the numbers of people that we counted.
Okay.
So simple.
Let's bring in Dr. Conte now. I mean, I wanted to do a follow-up question, the same question Antonia asked earlier about. It appears we still have a huge chunk of the population that, I mean, was not counted at all. If we're to go by what Ansumana is submitting, I mean, people rejected, people were resistant to the, I mean, approaches that were made by those, by the enumerators and all of that. But first off, tell us, what do you make of the figures that have been put out?
It's a sham.
How so?
And what my good friend, Mr. Ansumana, has just confirmed here is that the census figures as presented are incomplete. He has just, out to restate what he has said, he has just admitted to us that they did not count everybody.
Of course.
And the census is meant to count everybody. He's saying that they did not count people in the Western area.
The census is meant to count every willing person.
At least
every
when you
willing
were
person.
speaking,
Exactly.
All right,
you can
okay,
take
sir.
notes,
All right, okay, okay.
and
Go
then
ahead.
you can come later.
All right, sir.
Challenge
Okay,
me, please.
okay, okay. My apologies.
He's saying that the people in the Western area refused to be counted, the people in the North refused to be counted. And so what they did was to just sit down on their computer and just announce figures. Let me tell you why I'm saying this. If you look at the figures, one interesting revelation is that if you put the total of the South, which is 1,830,000, and the East, 1,937,000, it will give you 3,767,000 thereabout. And if you put the Northeast, Northwest, and Western area together, which is Northeast, 1,316,000, Northwest, 1,183,000, Western area, urban and rural, 1,268,000, it will give you 3,767,000. What a nice coincidence. The total in the South and East is exactly the same as the total in the Northwest, Northeast, and Western area. That defies all logic. Even if you go to my village and you count the people on the left side and count those on the right side of the village, they can never be the same. But I'm not surprised. There's a pattern with this government. In the last elections also, when they came to announce the last 25%, they simply divided the remaining votes into two and put half there and half there. So that is really what they have just done. And what this thing further shows is that if you look at the variances by region, you'll see that in Eastern region, they had a percentage increase of 18%. In the Northern region, which is Northwest and North put together, which will not then countenance his analysis of the creation of Karena and Falaba, we're putting them all together, there is a decrease in 0.2%. In the Southern region, there is an increase of 27%, and in the Western region, there's a decrease of 15%.
Can I just quickly ask you this question? I mean, the variance in these figures, either by region or by district, should we take that burden and push it back to you? Because what Ansumana mentioned is that obviously they cannot force people in these districts that are considered to be strongholds of the opposition to be counted. So, and we know some of you, the leaders, in the opposition, the party, put out a statement telling supporters, oh, don't go out. And so as a result, you were waiting for moments like this to come and say, we'll be the talker. It's a sham. Let's not go with it. Does this present a perfect opportunity now for you guys?
Thank you very much. That burden rests with them. That is why when you are conducting a national exercise, you have to ensure that you take everybody along and to make sure it has national acceptability. And the concerns raised by the APC were not raised in a vacuum. Let me take you down memory lane. From the get-go, we told them that this process, they're not prepared for it. That in fact, they were in breach of the Constitution. They performed the locality verification. they performed the cartographic mapping before going to Parliament to, in a very interesting way, lay the paper in Parliament at a time when the maize was not in the Parliament. And legally, when the maize is not in Parliament, any business that is conducted is illegal. So that very process of laying the paper in Parliament was illegal. And that very approval process was illegal. And instead of Statistics Sierra Leone retracing their steps and repeating the illegal processes which they had started, they simply continued. That in itself makes the whole process illegal, and the APC cannot be part of an illegal process. So we expressed our opinion. But that was not just our opinion. On the 7th of December, the World Bank wrote to them a letter. And in that letter, the World Bank raised 3 issues, among others, that they said are very critical that should warrant a delay. World Bank, not APC. World Bank said, you've done a pilot census. You know, I'm a member of the advisory committee, which, according to them, is the highest governing organ for the census. We did not see the pilot census report. It was never shared with us. It was never discussed with us. We did not see it. So the World Bank is saying, you did not take your time to look at the pilot census report, analyze it, and implement its findings. You rushed. They also said that the training, I mean, they were training up to the day before the elections. And what is bad? They were introducing a new technology, CAPI, which they made so much noise about. And you know our level of computer literacy in this country. It is not one of the best. And so they were just taking people to come and train them in the use of a technology, and they did not allow sufficient time. And you know, usually when you are training, you train more people than you would need. So at the end of the training, you will do some exercise, and then you evaluate and see those who qualify, those who don't qualify. They never did it. They just, because up to the day, they were sharing the tablets up to the day before the census was to start. And so the World Bank raised concerns about their training and said it's inadequate, and said, go back and do proper training. This is not APC. The World Bank also said, your field operation plan is inadequate. So we are advising you to stop, delay the process, and correct these things. They said, no, they will go ahead. So which means they were going ahead with a flawed process. And so the World Bank decided to withdraw its staff that was then in situ in Statistics Sierra Leone, and also withdrew their funding. Secondly, I want you to know that, you know, in government, there are different institutions. There is also what they call the Political Parties Liaison Committee set up by NEC. This is where all the political parties, all the government institutions that are elections management bodies that have a hand in elections, including the police, including the ONS, etc., the Human Rights Commission, all of this, NCD. This is where we all meet. And incidentally, I'm also representing my party on that committee. So in that committee, NEC was unequivocal in telling us that they were waiting for this census report, this major census report, for them to do boundary delineation and create new wards, new constituencies, new districts. So which means the whole essence of this census for them was just to go and create, give a justification to create new wards, new constituencies, new districts, for whatever purpose. So even when they were aware that people have not been counted, even when they were aware that there were challenges up to today as I speak, there are tablets that have not been returned to them, they have not recovered all the tablets that they gave out. So how did they manage to remember these figures? And note this. When they were advertising this their new app, this their new technology, this their new modern way of doing things, they told us that they will have a dashboard that will be open to the public, and that the public will be able to see how the data is coming in and how it is adding up. So what I expected to see yesterday was for them to display to the public how they arrived at these figures.
So it is it is evident.
Let me just finish.
No, I know.
No, if I don't finish,
quickly,
the sense will not make. So which will have made it very clear that these figures. Since they did not, and now we are getting very interesting figures. How can the figures just be exact?
So it is
How
clear.
can the figures reduce?
It is
in
clear
one
the figures we now have, I mean, as Sierra Leone's population is, I mean, we have more than that. I mean, because if some people were not counted, and if we are to include them, then definitely it goes beyond the little over 7.5 people of that statistics.
No. You know, what we have established is that the census is incomplete, it's inadequate, it did not count everybody, and according to them, it is because the people refused to be counted, so they did not count everybody. So they went ahead and announced a flawed figure.
All right.
Flawed figures for the census. That's what
just quickly, Asumana.
Okay, so, you know, when Dr. Conte speaks, you know, most of his utterances are really meshed in political undertones. You know, he's a politician. I am not a politician. So I would try as much as I could to not talk on the issues that he spoke about, which are very political, all right? I'm not a political person, okay? I work for an institution and I'm not a politician, okay? He has a leverage to talk on them. Now, quite a few things that I would just touch on.
Quickly,
all right? The census, he says, is incomplete. It is not incomplete. We counted the willing people. A census is a count of the number of willing people in the country. If people said they were not going to be counted, you go to a house, somebody use a machete, somebody use an axe, or drives you away from the house. All right, you go there a second time. If you go there and you get killed, it's at your own peril. All right? So we counted what we had. Now, coming to talk of the fact that I think he said the process is flawed, is incomplete, and stuff like that. Okay. Now, it does not mean because some people who are not counted means the census is not credible. No. There is nowhere in the world where everybody is counted. Not even the United States that has all of the latest technology.
But in this case, is the percentage not huge?
I'm coming.
Time, we have to, please, forgive us, would have to be.
So, we had 92% in 2020 when the US did their census coverage. So you cannot have a situation where everybody will be counted. Even when we didn't have these kinds of gimmicks where political parties said, we are not going to be counted. In 2015, everybody was not counted. In 2004, everybody was not counted. In 1985, everybody was not counted. You have some people who would have what they call apathy.
But the fact that the aim of this midterm census was to correct the wrongs or the mistakes
and we did that
were made.
Very well, very well,
How?
very well. We did that. The major reason why we conducted this 2021 census, and we made it very clear, was to ensure we get the localities coded. According to the World Bank, before they pulled out, all right, we got the coding 99% correct. This is on record.
Okay.
All right? We said it that one of the reasons why we're doing this census was to ensure we get all localities properly coded so we can account for population figures for every locality. All right? That we have done. That is what we have now. We can give you the population of every locality in Sierra Leone, anonymized population of every locality. That was the aim. That is what we wanted to do, and that is what we achieved.
All right.
Unfortunately, we cannot continue the conversation, but there's definitely more to talk about. And thank you to our guests. Unfortunately, we do not have more time to talk about the census data, but of course, there are so many other platforms we can create to talk about the census. However, we'll give you 30 seconds
right.
each to sum up.
Yeah, thank you very much. First of all, I am a politician, but what I've said is not political. What I've presented are facts, and these facts cannot be challenged by Statistics Sierra Leone. And so what we have with us now is a flawed midterm census exercise, and the right thing to do is to withdraw those figures and see how they can revisit them. But those figures can never be used for any boundary delimitation, and they can never be used for any international research because it is not even internationally accepted, because the World Bank, amongst others, has challenged the credibility of that process.
All right.
So in 30 seconds, I want to state that it is not the World Bank that is responsible for censuses in the world. It's the UNFPA. UNFPA have been with us. They've been with us through thick and thin. All right. They validated this census we've produced. In Africa, it is the Economic Commission for Africa that is responsible. The UN Economic Commission that is responsible for censuses. They've certified the census. All right. We had UNICEF. We had IMF. We had African Development Bank, other partners.
Thank you very much.
Right,
Thank you very
that
much.
have validated this process. So it's not just one person.
Thank you.
The World Bank is not even a census organization. It is just a funding organization.
All right, and that's all we have time for in today's edition of Wake Up Sierra Leone. Our quote for today says, "There is so much that unites us than divides us. We must recognize these facts and learn to live with one another." And it comes from retired Major Nelson Williams, former Chief of Defense Staff, Sierra Leone.
Many thanks to our sponsors. Until we meet again here with more interesting topics, we've been your presenters. My name is Samuel Weisbangura.
And my name is Antonia Howard, and don't forget, we're still mourning the loss of our colleague, Ransford Louis Metzger, who passed away yesterday, and this show today is dedicated to him, and we're leaving you with a tribute done by AYV in remembrance of him. Have a good day.